It's been a while, but this week is the first of a new batch of Patreon-sponsored episodes. As chosen by supporter Phil Daith Barker, this week we're looking at the history of the many Transformers villains who have shared the name SCOURGE. The original SCOURGE was created for 1986's The Transformers the Movie. Like most of the film's new characters, SCOURGE was designed for animation first by artist Floro Deary, whose art was then used as the basis for a toy. This was the opposite of how Transformers were normally designed at the time, as the toy usually came first. However, animation studio Toei further modified Deary's design after production on the toy began, so the figure ended up looking a bit different to SCOURGE's finalized appearance in animation. One particular feature of the design that didn't make it into the toy at all was SCOURGE's ability to pop his head up in vehicle mode. His vehicle form was designed to be a land-based hovercraft, but the film wound up depicting it as an airborne spacecraft. As seen in the movie, SCOURGE was created by the monster planet Unicron in the year 2005, out of the remains of the Decepticon Thundercracker, to be one of the minions of the new Decepticon leader, Galvatron. He was a merciless, relentless hunter with unparalleled tracking skills, and commander of the Sweeps, a team of Decepticon huntsmen identical to him in appearance. He didn't do much in the film itself, his big moment coming when he and the Sweeps destroyed Ultra Magnus, but he enjoyed a larger role in the subsequent third season of the Transformers animated series, frequently working alongside fellow Unicron creation Cyclonus. Spotlight episodes saw SCOURGE being possessed by the ghost of Starscream and obtaining the Autobot Matrix of Leadership, which warped him into a misshapen, monstrously powerful form, and led to him overthrowing Galvatron as leader, until the Matrix's true bearer, the young Autobot Hot Rod, defeated him and reclaimed it. In 1987, SCOURGE's toy was re-released as a Target Master, a kind of Transformer who came with a partner minifigure that transformed into a gun for them to wield. SCOURGE's partner was named Fracas, or Fracas if you're British, an alien from the planet Nebulos with a volatile temper. The story of how SCOURGE became a Target Master was told in the cartoon's three-part finale, The Rebirth, in which he was part of a group of Decepticons who journeyed to Nebulos and joined forces with the planet's evil rulers. However, SCOURGE's Target Master toy wasn't released in Japan, and The Rebirth wasn't aired there. Instead, an original sequel series was produced for the Japanese market, Transformers: The Headmasters, in which SCOURGE appeared in a reduced role, he and Cyclonus largely overshadowed by new high-ranking Decepticon, Sixshot. SCOURGE also appeared in the Transformers comic published in the United Kingdom by Marvel, which, like his toy, based his appearance on Floro Deary's early design. This series depicted Galvatron, Cyclonus, and SCOURGE as time travelers who came back from the future era seen in the movie to menace the Transformers of the present day. The comic chronicled SCOURGE and Cyclonus' repeated run-ins with the bounty hunter Death's Head, and even saw the duo ascend to take Galvatron's place as joint Decepticon leaders after he became stranded in the past. It wasn't until the release of his Target Master toy that SCOURGE was introduced into the American Transformers comic book, but these stories presented him and Cyclonus as just regular present-day Decepticons under the command of Scorponok. To reconcile this with its version of events, the UK comic showed the pair travelling even further back in time, joining up with Scorponok in the past, and travelling to Nebulos with him to become Target Masters. The duo's abuses of time travel eventually resulted in the formation of a rift in space and time, and SCOURGE, realizing that his actions had endangered all of reality, sacrificed himself by hurling himself into the rift in order to seal it. Scourge's toy was discontinued in 1988, and in the 1990s and 2000s, his name became one of the many that Hasbro chose to repeatedly reuse on a variety of new, unrelated characters, as a way to keep their trademark on it active. The first new bot to bear the name was an evil Predacon released in the Beast Wars toy line in 1999. A depraved biomechanical locust who specialized in chemical and biological warfare. He didn't appear in the Beast Wars cartoon, but he would show up in a few stories published in the 21st century, including IDW Publishing's Beast Wars comic books. Perhaps the second most famous Scourge after the original was introduced in 2001's Robots in Disguise. A recolor of the 1995 Laser Optimus Prime toy, this Scourge was a Decepticon clone of the Autobot leader and transformed into a fuel tanker truck with a trailer that opened up into a heavily armed battle station. As seen in the Robots in Disguise cartoon, Scourge was originally part of an Autobot crew sent to Earth to locate the hidden battle station, Fortress Maximus. But the crew's stasis pods fell into the hands of Megatron, who reprogrammed them for evil. While scanning a truck to become his vehicle mode, Scourge's pod also scanned Optimus Prime, turning Scourge into the Autobot's dark doppelganger. Appointed the leader of his fellow reprogrammed Decepticon commandos, Scourge served Megatron loyally at first, until memories of his original mission on Earth re-emerged, which, thanks to Megatron's reprogramming, had become twisted into evil ambition, driving him to reactivate Fortress Maximus so that he could use him to conquer the universe. Unfortunately for Scourge, programming blocks built into Maximus prevented his power from being used for evil, so his coup ended in failure and he was reprogrammed back into line. Though Scourge wasn't the first evil Optimus Prime clone in Transformers history, he was the one who really put the idea on the map, inspiring a legion of evil Black Optimus recolors that continues to this day, now usually known by the name Nemesis Prime. Scourge remains one of the most distinct and popular iterations of the concept, and the characters even received a few new toys over the years, accompanied by return appearances in Japanese manga. The next Scourge was a three-headed dragon, released in 2005's Transformers Cybertron. He was the ruler of a Cybertronian colony on the savage Jungle Planet, a brutal warrior who believed that might made right, and who viewed kindness and compassion as weaknesses. Scourge's toy was marketed as a Decepticon, but as the Cybertron cartoon showed, the story of his allegiance wasn't so black and white. When the Autobots and Decepticons came to the Jungle Planet, Scourge was impressed by Megatron's might and chose to side with him, eager to see new worlds and fight new foes. However, he was also struck by the bravery of the Autobots' feisty human ally, Lori Jimenez, despite her small size, and slowly found his eyes open to the idea that strength was more than just physical, which eventually led him to change sides and help the Autobots thwart Megatron's plans for universal domination. The Robots in Disguise and Cybertron Scourges did have one thing in common. In Japan, they were both rare examples of bad guys who held the Convoy rank normally used by Autobots, named Black Convoy and Flame Convoy respectively. The pair have easily been the Scourges with the most prominent roles in media in the 21st century thus far. Truth be told, while the original Scourge is still around, he hasn't really done very much. Some of his more notable appearances were in Dreamwave Productions comic books in the early 2000s, both in the company's Generation 1 series, which reimagined him as an older creation of Unicron's, brought online millennia ago rather than a recreated Thundercracker, and in their Transformers Armada comic, in which he was one of a group of Unicron's heralds sent into the Armada universe to pave the way for their master's coming. But it's also become common for modern stories to depict Scourge as an ordinary Transformer, entirely unconnected to Unicron. Most prominently, IDW Publishing's comics, in which he, Cyclonus, and Galvatron were ancient Transformers from Cybertron's forgotten past, who long ago became lost in an undead parallel dimension known as the Dead Universe. After they escaped back to the living universe in the present day, Galvatron used the power of the Dead Universe's eldritch anti-matrix, the Heart of Darkness, to transform other robots into duplicates of Scourge, creating a massive army of sweeps. But his plans were foiled by Optimus Prime, and Scourge and the sweeps all ended up destroyed. But while he hasn't had much to do in media, Scourge has had quite a few new toys, more than either Galvatron or Cyclonus in fact, including recreations of his classic alternate mode, modern updates that reimagine him with new aircraft forms, and even a version in 2016's Titan's Return, which turned Fracas into a Titan Master that formed Scourge's head. Some of these figures have even been retooled or recolored to create the first dedicated toys of the Sweeps. Scourge's most recent new toy was released in the Studio Series toy line, in celebration of the 35th anniversary of his first appearance, and strove to be a perfect recreation of his original movie design. Scourge used to say that desolation followed in his trio, but what he's really left behind is a legacy of powerful, memorable bots sharing his name and making it their own. And those are the basics on Scourge. Thanks to Dave for sponsoring this episode. Which version of this guy is your favourite? Share your pick in the comments. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe for more Transformers history and lore. Don't forget to ring the bell to be notified about future episodes, which you can get early access to if you support the series on Patreon.